This piece is called Bob from London by Lyric Deep. Bob from London has informed me that my poetry is misogynistic, that my metaphors ain't clear enough, and that they were so offensive he felt the need to call me out on my women-hating ways. I thought, oh God, I've upset a man by not even offending my own group of tits and bits and bushes. I bet Bob has had a real hard life being him. All those times people have driven past him in broad daylight, shouting at him, ushering him to get in their car, and not listening to him shout fuck off, only speeding away when other wheels back up behind them. Or when Bob's sitting at the bus stop in the evening, and 3 boys in a time frame of 20 minutes catcall him as he sits alone and the sun falls down, and he wonders if they are going to come back and make the threats a reality. Or when he's at his auntie's birthday party, and as he's saying goodbye to the guests, the fat bloke who's been eyeing his 16-year-old body all night comes over for a hug and plants a wet kiss on his lips that he recoils from but can't escape. Or when he's at his cousin's engagement do, and the end of the night rolls around and his uncle tries to play tongues with him, with his ex-wife, 3 kids and current bird by his side. Or when he walks home at night, with his coat pulled up over his nose, his hat pulled down far enough to not obscure his vision, his arms wrapped around him, trying to become a dark shape so his manly features are hidden in fabric and lumpiness, and he practically runs to the front door because he's scared he'll be thrown into the back of some van and raped or trafficked or tied up in someone's basement to be used as a plaything, just because of his gender. Yep, Bob has it tough being a man, like when he has a drink and wakes up in the morning in someone's bed, even though he was too drunk the night before to consent to anything, and he's too embarrassed to say he feels uncomfortable with the whole thing because he knows it'll be him that's blamed, him that'll be told he was up for it, even though he couldn't even hold his head up correctly or pronounce his own name without slurring. Or when he talks about things he's educated on, and is silenced by others because of course he knows fuck all, being spoken over when the others are the least aware, and looked at like a little boy if he dares speak louder. Or when he goes to pick up something heavy, and people flock to help him as if his little man body is incapable, as if he'll break a nail because men don't do this kind of work. Or when they laugh at him for taking ages to get ready, even though they were the ones who told Bob he isn't beautiful enough, if he isn't caked in layers of makeup, if his hair isn't sitting perfectly, if his clothes aren't too conservative but also not too slutty, he won't get anywhere in this world if he's an ugly geezer. God, poor Bob. It's rough being a fella, like when others are so kind and caring to him, lifting him up, making sure he feels good about himself and complimenting him, until he disagrees or defends himself. Then he's a slut, a bitch, a cunt, a whore, a stupid, useless lump of shit that's only good for one thing, if you know what I'm saying. Having to see others of his kind berated constantly in the media, while their counterparts get away with beating their partners to a pulp. But because a man wrote a lyric about sex, he's ostracised from work, berated for his manliness and rejected as a role model because men aren't allowed to enjoy themselves. Oh no, 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 oh pitiful Bob. Seen as nothing more than a machine to pump out babies. Seen as nothing more than so-or-so's husband rather than who he really is. What a shame. Men have it so rough out here. Of course, this is all why Bob had to call out my poem. His experiences with misogyny have been so harsh, he can't sit back and let women write about their lives. That would be way too much for him. So he does what most men do. He tells them to stop what they're doing and listen to him.